Welcome to Crackpot Sports. We're going to recap Sunday's games, Week 13. Still a lot of chances for a lot of teams to make the playoffs, even teams that are under 500. It's kind of bunched up. I want to start with the first one because it was such a high-scoring game. It was Baltimore 10, Denver 9. Denver, I look at Denver's roster and I go, how are they? I just don't understand how they're not scoring.
Well, maybe the coach wasn't the main reason why Green Bay's offense was so good. Maybe it was more Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I can't see if the season ends with Denver not winning only 3 games. They can't bring him back.
Yeah, but didn't they give him $250 million? It's not like you can just cut.
No, not Russell Wilson. I'm talking about the coach.
Oh yeah.
No, Russell Wilson, you're stuck with him.
Yeah.
But I think if you get who's the running back they had that got hurt?
Javonte Williams.
Yeah, he got. If they had him, that would be an improvement. They have pretty good receivers. They just need to work on the offensive line. The problem is they don't have their first round pick belongs to the 49ers, I think. So it won't be a high because it was Miami got the.
It's not going to Seattle?
No, because Seattle's getting their Denver's pick, which is the 3rd pick in the draft as of today. If the season ended today, it'd be the 3rd pick in the draft. When they traded Chubb to Miami, they got a first-round pick that I think belonged to the 49ers.
Right.
So, anyway, there could be some hope on the horizon. Wilson had 189 yards passing. Lamar Jackson is out with a knee injury.
Week to week, yeah.
Yeah, week to week. So I'm expecting probably at least 2 or 3 weeks. And they're hurting right now. They're not playing as well.
There's a lot of teams hurting after today.
Yeah, they're struggling. Huntley came in, had 187 yards with 1 interception. Denver's got it. Again, I say it all the time. If I was a Denver defensive player, I would just be pissed because you're playing well enough to win every game.
Well, there was a story, I guess it was he had a birthday party last week or 2 weeks ago, and only half the team showed up. I'm guessing the other half was the defensive players that didn't want to show up.
I would say so because there was last week they said if Denver had just scored 19 points a game, they would have been 9-2. Well, if they scored 19 points a day, they'd be 10-2.
I need his 11 points.
Yeah, exactly. It was just it's so brutal.
You're just get his 4 field goals.
Like I said, it'd be one thing if you still had your first round pick and you don't have your second round pick either. Mm-hmm. The Seattle has the second round pick, so that's 2 high picks that you're not having to help build your team next season. But I don't know. Next up, we have Pittsburgh Falcons. Pittsburgh wins it by 3, 19-16. Kenny Pickett, 197 yards, 1 TD. Now the stat, and I tried to see if he was injured. George Pickens only had 1 catch for 2 yards. Do you know if he got hurt? Did you see anything?
Did not see anything.
Yeah, I just thought that was strange that he would have only 2 yards total receiving.
It just seems like with some of these backup quarterbacks that come in where they're only passing for 150, 175, that some of these receivers are just going to have horrible games.
Yeah, I guess. But Kenny Pickett, I think he's gonna be a good one. I think he just
he's looked pretty good so far. He put up some good games.
Yeah, I think they just need build a better offensive line. Every team could have a better offensive line, and get a few more weapons. And I think because their defense is there. When you have T.J. Watt in the lineup, your defense is running on all cylinders.
That's been the one thing that's been stable in Pittsburgh for the last 20 years.
Defense.
They always have that solid defense.
Yep. Well, actually, you can go back further than that. Running game and
Jerome Bettis in the 90s.
Yeah.
Neil O'Donnell. Was that team that went to Super Bowl?
They didn't beat the Chargers one year. Neil O'Donnell failed to beat the Chargers, and the Chargers were the San Diego Chargers.
Stan Humphries. Stan Humphries year?
Yeah, Stan Humphries year. Of all the teams that went to the Super Bowl, I never would have said that team got to the Super Bowl, but they did it.
And you saw the result when they went up against was it the 49ers?
Oh, yeah. Well, 49ers were loaded. I mean, it was just hoping to keep it close. But anyway, we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh. I mean, now are they 5-7 now? Are they?
Pittsburgh is 5-7.
Yeah, so it's kind
Seems
of
like there's a whole bunch in AFC. They're just like 5-7, 6-8, or 6-5, 6-6.
Yeah, 6-6, 7-5.
7-5.
It's bunched up.
Yeah. So it makes it hard to predict every week.
It does.
Basically just a bunch of 500 teams.
It does. I went for it this week. I said, okay, I need to catch up. I'm in 7th place. And it started out pretty good, but then we'll get to the Jets and some other teams. I'm like going, come on, I was the only one that picked them. Come on. It's not like there's money involved in it. Green Bay scores 18 in the 4th quarter to come back and beat the Bears. The Bears.
Like Aaron Rodgers says before, he owns the Bears.
He does. Well, that was a game I picked the Bears because I figured, all right, Aaron Rodgers has a broken thumb, right? And he's got some bad ribs. He's got a bad attitude.
I was surprised that I guess they slowed down Fields because he was going crazy in that first half, like busting off 70-yard runs, 60-yard runs.
Yeah, he had 245 yards passing, no touchdowns.
But it's more about the running sets with him, though.
Yeah, I know, but he's eventually going to have to learn. I mean, I don't think it's so much him. He just doesn't have the weapons to throw to. But I think I'm a believer in him now. I think he's going to be a good quarterback down the road. Of course, he's with the Bears, and they never have good quarterbacks, so you never know. Detroit crushes the Jaguars 40-14. Detroit didn't punt. The Lions didn't punt the ball.
It's a little shocking considering how they sort of gave up on the season by trading their tight end away.
Yeah, I just don't get the Jags. You know, they win one week.
That's your favorite team. Your favorite team is here.
No, it's not.
You said either if they're losing or they're winning, they're just exciting games to watch.
Well, this one wasn't exciting. Jared Goff had 340 yards and 2 TDs, so I'm assuming they'll bring him back next year. They don't have anybody else, right?
And then, like, he's another one of those guys that has like a big salary cap hit.
Yeah. So it's not like you can cut him, right?
Mm.
But he's playing. I mean, the Lions are 5-7, which most teams you'd go, well, that's terrible. But for the Lions, they should have a parade. That's pretty good.
They'll probably do like what all those teams do, like 49ers, all of them are like, all right, we got the veteran quarterback. We're not sure about him. We're going to have a top 3 pick from the Rams. Draft a rookie.
That's right. They have the Rams pick. I forgot.
Yeah, so like, all right, if the rookie looks good in camp, play him. If not, sit him a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot they had the Rams pick. Everyone has the Rams picks, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Then they trade away like the next 5-6 years for that Super Bowl. They got the Super Bowl, but
they're terrible.
They gave up their soul in the draft.
Terrible this year. The Trevor Lawrence, that's another guy. He's good one week. The next week, he's
at least look better than he did with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, just horrible. At least now you have a guy who's won a Super Bowl, bringing Christian Kirk, who's a decent wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, I think next year's the year they make their move. They loaded up on some offensive talent, so we'll see what happens. But because they did trade a lot of defensive players away. You know, Jalen Ramsey and what's his name? The tight end, not tight end though. Linebacker went to Pittsburgh. Drawing a blank on his name. Anyway,
not sure, but yeah, AFC South is always open because you got Houston Texans who have 1 win.
Yeah.
Tennessee is having a good year, but you never know when Derrick Henry's going to break down.
Yeah. And that's what teams are doing now. They're just stopping. They're stacking the line and daring Tannehill to beat you, and he doesn't have really great receivers anymore.
And then they drafted Burks in the first round, and then he got knocked out of the game today.
Oh, did he?
On a pretty dirty hit.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, it was pretty dirty because he was just laying, and I guess the Philly fans were booing the penalty. You know, Philly fans, they're
like, boo! Bring out the stretcher.
Get him off the field. Get a body bag. Next up, we have Minnesota 27, Jets 22. I started watching this in like the last 3 minutes, and the Jets got down.
Mike White ran for the touchdown, and they overturned the call. And
I didn't see that. No, I didn't see that. No. I didn't see that play. So why'd they overturn it?
Oh, no. Originally, they said he didn't get in. It was like 4th and 1. He did like QB sneak.
Oh, okay.
And then they returned it, so that made it went from 27-15 to 27-22.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the Jets were driving again.
Yeah, they got down to they got down 1st and goal, 1 yard line, and couldn't score. And White actually threw the ball, and I can't remember the receiver's name. He should have caught it.
Garrett Wilson, probably?
No, it wasn't Wilson. Number 10. Remember? Yes.
White guy?
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah, that guy. He should have caught it. And he kind of bobbled it and dropped it on 4th down and 1. Now, Minnesota would have had time to get the ball, but Jets got the ball back with like a minute 19. And great field position, got down to like the 20-yard line, but couldn't. And White threw an interception. But White overall had a good game, 369 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. But he should have had 1. And I think he's definitely playing better than the other guy.
Yeah, I think they outgained Minnesota by like 200 yards or 150 yards.
Yeah, I mean, they were moving up and down just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Bend, don't break. Kirk Cousins, 173 yards, 1 TD. But Minnesota wins the game. Jets they could have got a little distance there in the playoffs. Little.
It would have been very bunched up.
Yeah, but now
Baltimore would have been 8-4. Miami 8-4. Jets would have been 8-4.
Yeah. But you're separating yourself.
8-4.
You're separating yourself from the 5-7 teams and the 6-6 and those teams. But yeah, they couldn't win. Couldn't bring home the bacon. Seattle 27, Rams 23. Now here's my question: the Mariners. If the
Ichiro was horrible today passing the ball.
He
just kept going for like all these like just moving the sticks with like punts.
Yeah. Jay Buhner was just awful. But Geno Smith had 367 yards passing, 3 TDs, 1 INT. He's been playing great all season. All right, you have the 3rd pick. Right now you have Denver's pick, which is the 3rd pick. If there's a quarterback there, do you take the quarterback?
That seems like a situation where you may like think about like trading back, like maybe going from like top 5 to maybe like 10 to 15, maybe adding like a 1st round pick and seeing if a quarterback drops a couple picks.
Or what happens if Geno Smith reverts back to Geno Smith of old?
That's where that extra 1st round pick next year will come in handy.
Because I was thinking, I go, yeah, if I'm Seattle, you load up on some defense, get a good pass rusher, the good run stuffer there. They have a good running game. Rashad Penny will be back next year. I don't know how long he'll last, but he'll be back next season. I don't know. I was just looking at that, going, "Geez, that's it," because it's no guarantee when you pick a quarterback that he's going to be the guy.
Definitely.
So I guess there's no guarantee no matter what you pick, but I don't know. I could just see if they don't take a quarterback and Geno Smith goes back to being Geno Smith, then it would be kind of ugly in Seattle.
But then you're also thinking, all right, if you don't trade out, maybe get like some like amazing like left tackle or something, or maybe there's like a 3rd Bosa coming or another Watt brother coming.
Yeah, you could always use a Bosa or a Watt. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It should be interesting because right now they're in the playoffs, aren't they?
Seattle's 7-5, so yeah, they're probably top 6, I would guess.
Okay.
San Fran's 8-4. There's a lot of bad teams in the NFC.
Well, a lot of bad teams in AFC too. So next up, we have the 49ers versus your Dolphins. And at one point, this game was 17-23. Mm-hmm. I think Miami had the ball, and all of a sudden I look back at the score and I go, how's it 33-17? What the hell happened?
So going into the game, Miami was about 3 of their offensive linemen, and especially their best offensive lineman, Tariq Armstead. So I think Tua was just like very nervous about Bosa and like the pressure they were getting on him. Like
he should be. Bosa is,
Plus, yeah, Tua had the concussion not 7 games ago. So
right, yeah.
He was getting the ball like a little quicker and his accuracy was a little off, but they were hanging in the game. But then Bosa again took over. Like he knocked him out of field goal range on one. He caused the interception to turn to a touchdown. So yeah, they just took over, and then once Garoppolo was knocked out, they just decided to run the ball over and over on Miami's defense.
Yeah, he's out for the season.
Yeah, that injury looked pretty horrible. Like
I
the way the ankle bent.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but he broke his foot, I guess, or
something. It was like where your foot meets your ankle, the foot just bent.
Yeah. Those are always bad. I used to hate those at the rink. Ice skating, people would do that. You pick up their leg and their foot's still there.
Yeah, it was like one of the defensive tackles, like his body weight just fell right there on that spot, and it just cracked instantly.
So the Miami's offensive line, are they going to be back next week, or is it?
Well, Armstead was questionable until like today, and then they ruled him out basically just before the game.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's a little bit like San Fran won the battle, but lost the war losing Garoppolo. Because now they have to play with a 7th round draft pick.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. You're so Purdy. He had 210 yards, 2 TDs, 1 INT. But Nick Bosa, I always said that Joey Bosa should have left the Chargers and went and played with his brother in San Francisco. Can you imagine those guys on the edge? I think
they're already good. With the guys they have, I can imagine adding another player.
Yeah. I think that Nick is better than Joey, even though Joey I'm not bashing him. He's a damn good player when he's in there. But Nick Bosa, he just plays at a different level.
Does Joey play on one side, or does he switch up?
I think they move him around, but they had Khalil Mack this season, so they're both kind of staying on their side. But Bosa's been out most of the season. He tore his groin, had surgery, and they keep saying, "Oh, he'll be back, but he's the type of player that doesn't come back unless he's 100%. Which I don't blame him. I mean, but without him, they can't stop the run to save their lives. They're just terrible against the run.
Yeah, I was just watching that today, and the announcers were saying how Nick gets to decide what side he wants to go on. They just leave it up to him. All right, you want to go right? You want to go left? Go wherever you want.
Yeah, if he has that power and he's successful, why not? Why not let him go? I would do it. Let's see. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Chiefs, and the Bengals pull it out, 27-24. Burrow, 286 yards, 2 TDs. Mahomes, 223 yards, 1 TD, and 1 rushing TD. He was kind of crazy on the rushing TD. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going, you don't do that. That's like Josh Allen. You don't do that. And you're not built like Josh Allen. You can't be doing that.
But yeah, Cincinnati's the first team to defeat Mahomes and Andy Reid 3 straight times.
Yeah, and also that's the first time they had Mahomes and Kansas City and Mahomes had a 24-game winning streak in November and December. And that is gone away. But Cincy, big win for Cincy. They've been playing really well of late. It's almost like last season where they started out kind of slow.
Heated up.
Got it all together. Their O-line's playing a little better. They didn't give up a sack today, which they should, throw a party. But
and they had Jamar Chase make one of those crazy catches that we see almost once a week now, where he just full extension, grabbed the ball with one hand.
It's amazing, these receivers, how athletic they are now compared to years. Now, I did a video on John Jefferson, played for the Chargers back in the late 70s, 80s. Now, he could do stuff like that, but but he didn't have gloves and stuff like that. But these athletes that, the training they have, they can jump higher. They're more agile. It's just crazy, some of the things they can do.
Plus, it's still a little surprising because when you see like the size of the NFL like football, it's like so wide.
Yeah,
like, you don't think it's that wide.
No, and it's
to do that with just one hand,
and it's heavy. It's hard. It's not like catching a Nerf ball. You go up one hand and catch it with. Anyway, Cincy could they make another run for the Super Bowl?
Well, right now they're the top wildcard team because they beat Miami.
Yeah, we shall see. And finally, I have Las Vegas 27, Los Angeles Chargers 20. Woo. Chargers were missing offensive linemen, and Herbert was just getting pounded. He got sacked 5 times. They did a better job of protecting him in the second half, but I think they were just like doing screen passes, just anything to keep him from getting crushed. But Carr had 250 yards passing, 177 to Devontae Adams. The Chargers had no answer for him. And Josh Jacobs, who was questionable to play, had 144 yards. Now he's having a great year considering that the Raiders didn't pick up his fifth-year option.
He's probably like, thank you for not picking up the option.
Yeah. I guess they can still tag him, right? They can still franchise tag him.
I guess because he's still so young.
Yeah, but I mean that's gonna be a lot. But I don't know. I just
yeah, but like it's like you had the option to get his option. Now you're gonna pay him top 5 running back salary.
Yeah, they didn't want him because he was always hurt. Mm. He didn't play full. But today, I mean, this season he literally picked up Derwin James on a play. He went rushing in, and Derwin James went to tackle. He carried him for like 3 or 4 yards until he just fell down. The Chargers can't stop the run anyway, and he was just all over him. It was brutal. But Herbert had 335 yards passing and 1 TD. And the touchdown was a 4th and 12. He got flushed out of the pocket and just threw it deep to Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen made the catch, which made the game, like I said, 27-20. But the Raiders went on to win the game, hold them tight. Maybe have knocked the Chargers out of the playoffs. We don't know. They're 6-6 right now. So it's like Charger fans, one week they love Staley. Mm-hmm. Next week they hate him. So if you win, they like him. If you don't, get Sean Payton in here. We got to get rid of this guy. He's terrible.
Hasn't that been like your last 4 or 5 coaches? They love him 1 week, hate him 1 week.
Yeah. Don't put me in there.
I forgot.
I'm not part of the Los Angeles crowd.
But you were part until they moved.
Yeah, I mean, but I was like, get rid of McCoy long before they did. Mm. I said the second season, okay, this guy's not getting it, and they kept him for 4 seasons. And don't get me started on Norv Turner. Norville. But yeah, they were that way with Anthony Lynn. They thought, oh, this is a coach. We finally got a coach. And then, he went to the playoffs. And after that, he couldn't win. Oh, get rid of Anthony Lynn. He's terrible. So the Chargers traditionally are not going to, the Spanos family is not going to go out and pay huge money for a coach. Mm. They just don't. And people say, well, they're not cheap. Well, no, they spend money on players, but they don't spend money on the coaching staff. They don't, because it costs a lot of money. I mean, you look at Josh McDaniels, he's looked like he's turned it around in Las Vegas. They've won the last 3 games. They're starting to click. He might be able to finish with 7 or 8 wins this season. That happens. I think he's, they weren't going to get rid of him anyway, but I think he's earned, he's not like Nathaniel Hackett, who should be kicked to the curb.
Again, Mark Davis has to save money on his haircut, so he's not going to fire him, pay for another coach.
He was sitting I don't want to say it. He was sitting next to some young girl today. I'm like going, okay, granddaughter, maybe daughter. Is he married? I don't know, because I go, she looked like a Raiderette or something like that. I go, it can't be the haircut.
Maybe that big stadium that he owns in Las Vegas might help.
Yeah, that could be it. But he is he's not the best looking owner in the NFL. I'll just say that. That's as far as I go. But anything else you want to talk about before we make some picks
a random stat, or I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw Deion Sanders signed on to coach with Colorado, like University
of
Colorado.
He did officially sign on, did he? That's a good move for Colorado.
So he signed for 5 years, $30 million.
Wow.
And so he's getting $6 million per year. And like, I guess that's a Colorado athletic director, like, oh, where's the money coming from? He's like, oh, we don't have it right now, but we'll get it eventually. So I was curious. Huh? So I was like, I wonder how much Dion made when like he was like Cowboys. He signed 7-year, $35 million, so $5 million per season as the highest paid corner in football. Versus he's going to get $6 million to be the coach.
Plus the coaches get, they have radio shows, they have TV shows, they get endorsement deals. I mean, they make a lot. I mean, like Nick Saban, he's not making just his salary. He's making, they used to say that Bear Bryant, he would write checks on purpose because no one would cancel. They wouldn't cash the check.
Oh yeah, they would save him.
They'd save him because they wanted they had his autograph. They didn't want to, so he would purposely write his, pay with checks instead of cash. But
it's like, yeah, I'm going to pay for my gas with a $5 check.
Well, yeah, that would fill up the tank back then, though.
Definitely.
But it's funny because these coaches in college, they just because Rule just signed with was it Nebraska or Oklahoma? What?
Well, the one that signed at USC like this past summer got $100 million. They bought his house. They got like all this stuff.
Yeah, it's just incredible with these, but they can't. They say, oh, we can't pay the players, but the coaches are making this gobs of money. I mean, I have more power to them. I have nothing against that, but it's just like, it's crazy. Like I said, that Rule guy he was fired from Carolina, but he bounces back and gets it's like $60-something million for like 7 years or something like that.
Well, Nebraska's got that big money.
Yeah. Well, Nebraska, it's funny. They, under Tom Osborne, they were always like the top 10 teams in the nation, and they haven't been anything since he left.
But then sort of that is like, you wonder if the offense or like offense moved on, because Nebraska was always like this tough running team, like all built around like offensive linemen and stuff.
Yeah.
And now everything's like high flying passing offense.
Right.
And so can they get like receivers and quarterbacks to Nebraska?
Yeah, that's true. Because they had those cornbread guys, those guys who were like 350 pounds and great running backs. And anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm still waiting for my call from a school to pay me like $50 million to coach. But
hockey coach.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen. All right, do some picks here. First up, we have the Jets versus the Bills. It's almost like a must-win for the Jets, I think.
I will go with the Bills because now's around a time where the Jets usually fall apart or become like, it's like Cinderella, the glass zipper.
Yeah, that's true.
They turn into a pumpkin.
But they have a really good defense.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just to be different, I'm just going to go the Jets.
It's just like a little unrealistic for a quarterback from a school I went to actually be an NFL starter for the Jets to make the playoffs or actually be good.
He's playing well. What school was that?
University school. Our classes were about 100 people per grade.
Really?
Yeah. So
you're saying small school?
Super small.
Super small. Next up, we have the Browns versus Cincy. Deshaun Watson is back. I think there was no offensive touchdowns. The score was like 27.
There's a punt return. I think a fumble return.
Yeah, and there was like a lot of field goals. I mean, he's obviously rusty.
I think he's time for him to go get a massage, maybe like feel better, get ready for like the next game.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But again, they could make the play. They're 5-7 right now. They could run the table and squeeze into the playoffs. I mean, how would that be for the NFL if Deshaun Watson made the playoffs this year?
Starting in your 2023 Super Bowl.
Deshaun Watson.
They put his mugshot.
Yeah. That would go over really well. I'm going to take Cincy.
Yeah, it's hard not to after they just beat Kansas City. So, yeah, I'm going to go Cincinnati also.
Yeah. Vikings versus Detroit. I wasn't going to put this game on here. Do you think, okay, the Vikings should win this game easily? Mm-hmm. But Detroit, they
Minnesota
got
struggled. Detroit pulled off the shocking 40 points.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll go Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go Minnesota too. I was trying to get you to go push you that way. Push it. You're too smart for me. Eagles versus the Giants. The Giants tied the Commanders today, 2020. Both teams should have at least won with a field goal. They would get down to like the 40-yard line and then just, I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like impossible for like how teams still tie, considering you just need to get to like 40-yard line for like these kickers nowadays.
Yeah. And they would get there and then they would fall back and get a sack or make a mistake. And I don't know. I don't see the Eagles losing, so I'm going to go the Eagles. They beat up on Tennessee today.
Yeah, Hurts looked great as always. So, yeah, I'm going to go Philadelphia.
B-More versus Pittsburgh. It's almost a must-win for Baltimore at this point. With Lamar Jackson out. And we didn't even talk about, again, I say in the beginning of the season, we were all Lamar Jackson. He's making the right move. He's smart. I don't know. I don't think he's going to get a big contract. I could be wrong.
But again, I don't know. If you're Baltimore, you're going to let him leave?
Well, you can't let him leave, but how much money are you going to give him? Yeah, I mean, it's not all his fault, but
plus they could franchise him.
Yeah, they could franchise him. But he might not sign it. I can see him holding out. But anyway, I'm going to take Pittsburgh. They're on a roll right now, and Baltimore is struggling.
Just to change it up a little bit, I'll go with the backup quarterback in Baltimore, pulling off the upset.
And we have Tampa Bay versus the 49ers. Niners have, what's his name? Purdy.
He's a Purdy quarterback. Purdy passer.
Purdy quarterback. And we have Tampa Bay who has Brady, who's Purdy. So you got Purdy versus Purdy. I'm going to take the 49er defense. I think Brady's too old and slow to get out of the way, and I think Nick Bosa is going to have a field day with him. So I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Yeah, if they run the ball like they did and they play defense, they should be able to easily beat Tampa. And
I mean, I think
Brady's going to have a pretty rough day going against that defense if he's getting hit all time by Bosa.
Yeah, it could be ugly.
I'm going to go Tampa.
Thinking, I should have retired. And your Sunday night game, the Miami Dolphins versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Who do you have? Can the Dolphins run the ball? They only had 30 yards today. Can they run the ball?
Hopefully their offensive line gets a little healthy. And I think it should be like a little fun shootout between Herbert and Tua. So I'm going to go Miami.
It is a big, like I said, you have Herbert and Tua. There's going to be, that's why the game.
That debate's been going on for like 3 years now.
Yeah. So, and again, Miami, it's not a must win for Miami, but it'd be, they can't, you don't want to lose 2 in a row, start, heading to the playoffs.
Plus they have Buffalo the week after. So
yeah, so
I think they know they have to win this game.
Okay. And the Chargers, they have to win it. If they lose and go 6-7, I can't see them making the playoffs because they have so many teams. They have teams ahead of them that they lose the tiebreakers to. So, but I'm going to go Miami. I think Miami's offense, they just have so much speed at receiver. I mean, that first play of the game was like, boom. And I don't even know who that guy was. He just took off and
he's 14? Like their fourth string receiver, yeah.
And he just outran everybody.
And well, it was a cool design play. Like you had Hill go out the right side, so 2 of the defensive backs went with him, and you had the receiver, Miami Dolphins receiver, going left, and everybody's going to like the other way. He just they couldn't follow. They couldn't like break quick enough.
Yeah, and he just outran them. And the 49ers aren't slow.
Right.
It just was like, wham! I said, holy crap. But, 49ers defense, okay, we're not going to make that mistake again. And they didn't. So, and like I said, I think Tua was, he had the Bosa factor, and he won't have the Bosa factor next week. So, but if you're going to beat the Chargers, you run on them because they cannot stop the run.
And that's I wonder if the running game not working for Miami today was partly because they had 2 former San Francisco running backs. So I wonder if they were fired up to go against them, Mostert and Jeff Wilson.
That could be it too. Well, not only
maybe they knew their tendencies, if they want to go inside or
Well, that probably had a lot to do with it. But also with the Chargers, they can't run the ball either. They have Eckler, who is great at coming out of the backfield, but they just don't have that every down runner, and they just can't run the ball, so they can't control the clock, and they can't stop the run. So if you can't stop the run and you can't run, you're not going to win too many games in the NFL.
Plus, you said the offensive line's pretty banged up, right? Too. Now you got Chubb, Ingram.
Yeah, their center was out. And this will be a good game from Ingram. He's going to be fired up playing against his old team. Ingram, let's see. The left tackle's been out. Left guard has been out. They've had injuries. 2 of the guys are out all season. And then the center was out again with a concussion. He's a second concussion. And then another guy was out. So they had guys, I'm going, they were just getting owned by the if like I said, if it wasn't if Herbert was if that was Phillip Rivers, he probably would have came off the field on a stretcher because Phillip Rivers couldn't move. So, so we'll see what happens, but I'm going to stick with your Dolphins. I think your Dolphins beat the Los Angeles Chargers.
Hopefully. I'm excited for another primetime game.
Yeah. And
we'll be back better than last time they were in primetime. Cincinnati versus Dolphins.
Yeah.
The concussion game.
Yeah, the concussion game. Yes, that was bad. But we'll be back next Monday at 9:30.
Sounds good.
That's all I got. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. I like your festive decorations in the background there. It's nice.
I worked hard by trying to watch football games.
and staying out of the way.
Good job to the girlfriend.
Yeah, Cindy did all inside with I'm doing the outside though. And our neighbor goes, "Oh, we thought you weren't putting out as many this year. You're so late." I go, "Okay, yeah, I'm just pacing myself. I got grandkids every day. I had migraines all last week. What do you want from me, people? What do you want?" Jeez.
I'm surprised you didn't say, "Oh, when are you going to get to our house? Put up our lights."
Yeah. Oh my God. It just, my wife, and every day we're doing something with, I don't want to complain about it. I'm happy. But I said, okay, I'll do it Friday night. We had something to do Friday night, and then someone threw a rock or a battery or something at our windshield coming off the freeway.
Dang.
And I saw it coming from the side. I went, and before I could do anything, it goes, bam! It just shattered Luckily, it didn't come straight because it would have hit Cindy. And also, I said it didn't hit the passengers, the back seats, because we had 2 grandkids back there. So look, I didn't shatter that window, but it's scared the crap out of me. It
had to be so loud.
Yeah, it was really loud. My son-in-law was like, "Oh, it had to be from a car." I go, "There were no cars there was a car in front of us going really slow. She was on her cell phone." But it's like a little wooded area on the on-ramp or off-ramp, and the freeway, the cars on the other side were way on the other side. I don't know how it could have come off. I mean, it could have been, but I still think it was someone threw something at, and it's got like white paint on was it a baseball? I don't know what it was. It's like it did. Luckily, it didn't do. It could have been worse. So if you're listening to me,
it was Dean Spanos. He's like, "It was written on the rock. Stop talking bad about me on your podcast."
I don't think Dean could have thrown that far. I don't think he'd throw that far. He's weak. That's all I got. We'll be back next Monday at 9:30.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.